Yes, hello and welcome once again to the Young Entrepreneur Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Angel, coming to you today on this beautiful day. I'm hoping you're tuning in live with us via YouTube, Facebook. Please, if you're new to the channel, as always, please subscribe and show your support on the YouTube channel under the name of the podcast or under your podcast or TV. Go ahead and follow there as well. Leave a like, leave a comment, and go ahead and follow all the content that's on there because it's for you. The content's made for you, the entrepreneur, the person that has that mindset, that has that business, that brand. You want to grow it, you want to do big things, especially now that we're ending a 2022 and coming and receiving the 2023. You want to do big things. Listen, podcast platforms are the ones that are going to help you get known and get out there. So I invite you to be a guest maybe one day on this podcast. So look me up, send me an email, send me a message, and I'll be more than glad to get to know you, your brand, your business, and what is your passion, right? To not only do your business but to help others. So listen, guys, thank you for tuning in today. I have a special guest today, okay? And is I want you guys to tune in because we're going to be talking about a very important topic, okay? How to plan, execute, and accomplish your goals. And that's very important, especially now that we're ending the year and we're starting a new year. But before we get started, I want you to also listen to the downloads on whether it's Pandora, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it. Wherever you could get your music or podcast, this audio is also available there. So then, like that, wherever you're traveling, wherever you driving to wherever part of the world you are in, you will be able to listen to this content via audio. Or if when you're on YouTube, you want to see us live as well, you can see the recording live or pre-recording on the YouTube channel. Okay. So with that being said, guys, I want to get right into it because today's guest is a woman. Her name is Anastasia, as you've seen there, and I want to just read her bio real quickly, okay? Because she has an impressive resume. And she has so much going on, but I want to learn so much about her, just like I know you guys want to learn as well. And it says here, Anastasia understands the power of taking action firsthand. Okay, born in the beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Anastasia has a simple mission, which is to spread the message about living your dreams. Explains there are simple and effective techniques everyone can use to truly change their lives because life is so simple yet so beautiful and we should enjoy each and every day. Anastasia is a serial entrepreneur who currently resides in the natural idol Dominica, not Dominican Republic. She said, make that clear. It's Dominica, okay, where she owns five. Listen, guys, she owns five businesses. So for those of you who have maybe one or two and you think you have your hands full, no, think again. You're going to meet her right now. She still finds time to manage two upcoming businesses. We're going to get into that as well in the USA. Okay? Yes. A skincare line, Body Bliss LLC, and a coaching business. Anastasia Anselm Coaching LLC. Okay, so listen, she's commonly called Anna. So today we're gonna call her Anna, and Anna's here today to join us, and she's gonna be talking about how you could plan, execute, and accomplish your goals. I like that order because there has to be a planning, right? There has to be a blueprint. Okay, there has to be action, execute, put it in place, start walking, start running, do something with that plan, and then you want to accomplish those goals. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and welcome Anna. How are you?
Hi, Angel. Thank you so much for having me on the Young Entrepreneurs Mindset podcast. I am just happy to be here.
Oh, I'm excited as well, Anna, and thank you so much for your time. I know that you are a busy serial entrepreneur, a busy mom, a busy family woman, right? Entrepreneur and a businesswoman. So let's go ahead and get right into it. What man, first of all, how do you wake up in the morning? What is your motivation for a woman, right, that has so much going on? Like, what's your one thing that when you wake up in the morning, you say, okay, today I feel like this, because every day we have our days. I mean, there's some days that we could wake up like, oh my god, right? How
Mm-hmm.
about that? What motivates you every day to keep going?
So I would definitely say that what motivates me is that I want to be better today than I was yesterday. And that is what
Mm,
constantly keeps me going. Also, too, as well, your mindset in the morning dictates how the rest of your day is going to be. So if you wake up on a morning and you say to yourself, okay, today is going to be a horrible day, then guess what? It's just going to go downhill from there.
that's
But
yes,
once you set your day up for success, then you can experience how many obstacles you will find a way to get over those obstacles. So it all depends upon you, your mindset, and what it is
yes.
that you want to accomplish from your day. But my goal is simple. I want to be better today than I was yesterday. That's it. So
That's
I figure out what it is that, I want to work on today. And so I just want to grow and develop constantly.
awesome. That's beautiful. That's great. I like that. Very the mindset is very important. And thank you for mentioning that, because that's what this podcast is about. It's about that mindset, right? So and so to get started, I like to start from the roots, right? From that young girl that was growing up. If you could go back, right, and take us back and say, okay, what was Anastasia like? What was her dreams, her passion when she was a young girl? She visualized herself doing what? Who was maybe your motivation, right? Could have been maybe your mom, your dad, a family, maybe an athlete or something. I mean, what was something that you were passionate about when you were young?
So growing up, I actually was passionate about being a chef, but then I quickly realized that that was just not my calling because I did not want to get burned. I didn't like the marks or the scars on your skin. Standing up for
Yeah.
contact hours just really was not my passion. So I quickly found out that that was not my passion. Now, in terms of anything else that I wanted to do or be in life, I just knew from a young age I wanted to be successful. As to what that
Mm,
translated to, I just did not know as yet. In terms of what motivated me, I would definitely say my mother, my mom, and also too as well my family members. They were the ones who would keep encouraging me, also as well making sacrifices so that I could get the things that I needed to accomplish what it is that I wanted. So, for instance, sacrifices were made to send me to school, sacrifices were made.
mm,
Just with different areas, different sectors in my life. And then when I turned 18, I decided that I did not want to rely on my mom anymore. And so the day after my 18th birthday, I went out and I found a job. And that job was a part time job, but it was able to help. At the time, I was going to university. And so that helped me with my university fees and transportation, tuition, books, and so forth. So that's where it really started. But what really motivated me, my mom had me at a young age. So she got pregnant when she was a teenager. And a lot of persons would say, oh, you're just going to continue the cycle. You're going to be a teenage mom. We don't expect much from you. And then also too as well, there was that stigma where I was always the darkest in all of my classes, or in terms of many other sectors, or many other areas or groups and so forth. And so a lot of persons would always say, oh, well, we don't really expect much of you because of the color of your skin and so forth. So
Yeah.
that in itself also played a role in terms of me telling myself from a very young age, no, I'm going to prove them all wrong. Just look and
Yes.
see, 10, 15 years from now, I am
Yes.
definitely going to prove you guys wrong.
Wow. That's something that you self motivated yourself. You coach yourself on that expression, right?
Correct, correct. But I mean, I can't take all of the credit. I definitely have to say, like, my family has been that constant
Support.
support,
Yeah.
from my aunts to my sibling to my mom, my grandparents. They have given me that constant support. My uncles, my aunts, just constantly lending that support.
That's
And
awesome.
sometimes I would come with wild dreams, and they would talk to me, say, okay, have you thought this through? How are you going to accomplish this? What is the steps? And they never shut me down. Like, they would entertain my crazy wild thoughts. And
Yeah.
then we could see from there whether it's possible or not, and how they can support. So I definitely have to say, like, my family members have been huge cheerleaders along my
That's awesome.
journey. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what happened? So after that, Anastasia, you get your first job. Now, how did you start like your first business? What was that plan? Because we're talking about how to plan and execute and accomplish your goals. You have to have a plan. What was your initial plan at first?
So after I got my first job, I mean, during university, it was while I was in university, I knew that I wanted to be ahead of all of my peers because realistically, the world is getting smaller, and so everyone is educated. So what would definitely set me apart from my peers? So experience. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to spend a lot of my time doing. So during university, I worked quite a lot. I did internships, free gigs, um, anything that can possibly, or anything that related towards my degree. I wanted to do it. So I studied hospitality and tourism management, and my part-time job was a waitressing. But I worked in government organizations. I worked with other organizations. I did internships for free. So I was working, going to university, and doing free jobs just to gain the experience. So when I left university, I started off as a manager compared to my peers who started off at entry level positions. Also, too, as well, I was always the top of my class across the board. So when I graduated from university, I got the best student for my program. And so that definitely was a motivating factor. After
Okay.
university, I then started to work. So I did some management jobs, and then I moved to Dominica. So, like you said correctly, not the Dominican Republic, Dominica, Dominican. So I
Yeah.
was born in Trinidad and Tobago, and then I moved to Dominica with my husband, where I managed a five-star resort for a few years. Now, during that time that I was managing that property, I started to feel as if something was just not right. Not in terms of the job itself, just me being there. There was something that I wanted in terms of, I really wanted to be able to survive off of my own sweat and effort.
Yep.
And at that time, a lot of family and friends just could not understand, what do you mean that you want to leave your job, that you're getting a good salary, you have profit shares in the organization, you basically set up, you're going to be a-okay if you continue on any job for a few years. And they're like, you want to do what? Work for yourself, but that's not sure. Like, how is that even going to happen? And at that time, I just really couldn't translate what that calling was into what I
Mhm.
wanted to do. So
Right.
I will admit, at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I had no plan whatsoever because I left my corporate job and I basically freelanced for a bit. So I did odd jobs for different businesses. I did some consultancy work, work with other consultants too as well on their projects. And then one day, my friend said, I am leaving the island. I'm selling my spa equipment. Do you want to purchase it? And so I told her, yes, definitely. I'm
Wow.
interested.
You
And
see that?
knowing nothing about how to operate a spa, I said, okay, I am going to hire team members and they would operate the spa, and I'm just going to have a business and it is all going to be a-okay because you're reading these books or online that be an entrepreneur, you can go on vacations when you want, you have freedom to do anything that you want, life
Yeah.
is just a breeze once you become an entrepreneur. So I thought my life would be like that I would hire team members and just sit at home and enjoy the fruits of being an entrepreneur. But then I quickly realized that that was not the case. So I had to actually work in my business. I had to understand it. And so there began my journey to learn all of the services so that I can know exactly what the services are, how I can better prepare for clients in terms of setting expectations and managing expectations too as well, and delivery of the service. So at that stage, I genuinely did not have a set goal. I didn't even have a business plan, being honest with you. I just
Wow.
pretty much winged it
Winged
every
it.
day
Yeah. Yeah.
until I quickly realized going into like a few years or a few months in, I realized that I needed some more structure. I
Okay.
needed to really sit down and figure out what I was doing and how do I get from point A to point B. And that's where I really started to sit down, get organized, follow through, with goals and so forth.
Yeah, because I mean, to back up what you're saying, I mean, you could try to plan something out, but not all of our plans are going to work. I mean, eventually there's going to be a detour, there's going to be a speed bump along the way that, you may plan something out, but then something comes up and you just go with it. You're like, okay, I'm just going to freelance it and just go with it. And you learn, I believe that you learn as you go. This is kind of like what I did with the podcast. At the podcast, I didn't know nothing about podcasts, and here I am with a couple of videos and audios, right? But at the beginning, I had no experience. But what I did, I just went with it. I had an idea, but I just went with it. So what you're saying is also is very good in a way, because you're saying that, okay, so you may plan something. This is what I'm receiving for. You're saying you may plan something, but there could be something that come up, but just continue, because you have to execute, and that's going on to the next level. Because I see that you had an idea, and you saw that you visualize, okay, I have this spa, let me go with this, and then just going to start my own, right?
So it is, yeah. So when we get more into goals, we will definitely speak more about it. But
Yeah.
one thing that I can say that I have learned is that there is never going to be a perfect time.
Never.
I have been working on a business plan for a specific business for 4 years now, and I still am not ready to launch that business because in my
Mm.
mind, I want it to be that level of perfect, but I've just realized that you cannot make it perfect. You just have to start right now with what you have, and then you are going to grow, you are going to develop. So you have to leave that bit of room for development.
Exactly.
Not saying that you go into something without knowing exactly what it is that you are about.
Right.
However, you just have to replace perfect, with things like relatable, unique, and so forth, so that you get started, because there's never going to be a perfect time. Life is going to continue being life. There are always going to be obstacles. No matter how much you plan, you realistically cannot control every second of the day.
No.
But what definitely helps is your mindset, because because when obstacles come up, you are quickly able to convert those obstacles into opportunities, and that can only be accomplished when your mindset is right. So when your mindset is not fixed and you have that of a growth mindset, obstacles are like, what obstacle? What are you talking about? Like, that's an opportunity. That's a means for me to make money.
Yeah.
So it has to come from within, but we would, go in depth into it a bit more when we start to talk about goals.
Exactly. So when did everything for you started to like blooming? Because when then you have one business, and then you had the second business, and then you had third business. Now you're kind of like on a flow, right? You're kind of like, okay, I think I got this. When did that start to happen?
Now, I'd be lying to you if I said that I have it, because I don't have it, because there are days where I still lay in my bed and cry for hours. Like, I honestly cannot tell you how many buckets I have utilized to collect my tears, because
Wow.
I do have those moments where I completely break down. Things are going wrong in maybe three businesses, and I'm like, no, no, why? But what I have learned is that it is definitely important to pick yourself up. You cannot stand still. You have to keep moving no matter what. You are entitled to a moment where you break down, where you let it all out, but you can't stay in that moment forever. You have to move on. So, I mean, it's easy to tell you that, yes, everything is great, everything is wonderful on my end, but no, I still do have my struggles on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I still do struggle. But the thing is now, my struggles are different from that 6 years ago. So I still struggle, but the struggles are different. And so each
Yeah.
and every day, as I work towards developing, I then realize that, hey, I've got this covered. Like, hey, I can definitely do this. Like, oh, this is not this bad. And so, once again, it boils down to your mindset. So, um, when did that moment came about? So a lot of my businesses came about because of obstacles that I noticed or realized, and I was able to convert them into opportunities. So many of my businesses, so say, let's say for instance, this spa came about because my friend was selling her spa equipment. That's how I purchased, and that's how my spa started off. And we currently now have two branches, and we're within a few months we're going to be opening out a third branch. So
Okay.
that's how this spa came about. Then I have a commercial cleaning company. So we do commercial and residential. But when the business started, we were strictly residential, because there was a medical university close by. Now, a lot of the medical students would complain that they don't have the time to clean. And so I was like, okay, I can organize some cleaners to clean for you. So once again, it was just a opportunity that presented itself that I took advantage of. Then my other business I have is graphic design, and so I quickly learned that, hey, I can do graphics within mere minutes and make money online, because let's be honest, we live in a gig economy, and so somebody always wants to get something done that they're willing to pay for. So that's how my graphic design business came about. And then I also have a spa and barber shop, and that came about because guys were saying that, they wanted their own space where they can be guys, where they don't have to worry about, like women telling them to shh. They can speak freely, they can watch sports, they can enjoy. And so that's how that business came about. Then during COVID,
Mm.
all of my other businesses were closed shut because of the pandemic, because some of my businesses were seen as super spreaders, for instance, the spa and the barbershop, and then the graphic design, which is a support business to other businesses. Because businesses were closed, we had no business there. Cleaning company
Mm,
closed because no businesses were open. So
yeah.
I had bills coming in, but no revenue. I had bills coming in, but no revenue coming in. And so I quickly sat down and did a skills audit, like, how can I make money now? What can I do that I can open during this pandemic? And so that's how my hydroponic and aquaponic business started, because I do have a background in terms of hydroponic, starting hydroponic and aquaponic systems. However, I can't, or I could not build the actual system. So I solicited the assistance of a contractor who then
Oh,
built the system. Because I have a background in graphics, I was able to do graphics for that business. And then during the pandemic, a lot of persons were visiting doctors, supermarkets, and doctors, supermarkets, and pharmacies. Those were the areas that persons were visiting. So that's where we put flyers. And then also, too, as well, persons were spending a lot of time on social media. So we then advertised that business there, too, as well. So once again, like an obstacle was there and I turned it
yeah.
into an opportunity. But it's not until my mom passed,
Mm,
a year ago, did I truly decide that, okay, I've just been bouncing around from business to business, but I'm not really killing it. Like, I'm not really out there doing, like, am I really putting out what I want in this world? Because when she passed, it was an awakening for me. Basically, my mom would say, when I have this, then I'll do that. Or when I get this, then I'll be able to do that. And so basically, she was just doing what she had to do to survive on a daily basis, but not really
yeah.
living her dreams.
Living. Yeah.
And so I quickly sat down and said, okay, how do I convert this? How do I make this right? How do I work on this? Like, how do I live my dreams? And that's where, my businesses in the US, the concept was already there. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do it. And that's when I really started to work and do things differently. And so, in terms of goals and goal setting, that's where I really started to say, okay, yeah, no, like, I've been playing around all the other years. Like, now is the time that, yeah, because now is the time that I really
Yeah.
want to do different things. And I mean, I want to retire by the time that I'm 40. So I need to start to
Mm,
put things into place.
hustle. Yeah. You need to hustle now and get it done
Yeah.
early. Yeah. So talk to us a little about your website, the Online.
So Body Bliss, like I mentioned, so Body Bliss was one of my first businesses. We currently operate in Dominica and we have two branches on island. Now, one of my businesses in the US is Body Bliss LLC, where it's
Okay.
basically a continuation of the spa service. So
Right.
you've come to the spa, you've done a treatment, you want some home treatments, or maybe you can't afford constantly going to the spa. You want some treatments that you can utilize at home. So we do have a range of skincare products that is going to be available online that you can then purchase and utilize at home to continue your beautification. Because let's be honest, when you look good, when
Yeah.
you feel good and you look good, you do your best.
That's
So
right.
it's a continuation of the spa services.
Yeah, that lifts up your self-esteem, get your
Correct. Yeah.
self-esteem up. Absolutely. So what's in plans for you next? I mean, I know you have your businesses and whatnot, and I know you mentioned you have some other business that you're still thinking about, but what is something that Anastasia, what is one of your goals, maybe for next year, maybe for 2023? What's something that you see yourself maybe accomplishing for next year?
So I would definitely say, apart from my businesses in the US, one of the goals that I set for 2023, which I actually have I won't say accomplished just as yet because it's not finished, but I
Okay.
have taken steps and I've already made significant strides. So one of my goals was to actually do an in-person summit or workshop
Okay.
where the audience would be a minimum of 500. And so I've already confirmed event. I'm already on the list of speakers. So I just have to actually show up at the event. So
Ah,
that was one of my goals, and I've already, taken steps towards making it happen.
amen. That's awesome. That's good. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. I wish you the best in that. So
Thank you.
also, I see on you're welcome. You also see on your bio we talk about that you have for coaching. You coach businesses, right? You're certified coach for business. How what is something that you help others with in their business as far as like coaching?
Okay, so a correction. I'm actually not certified just as yet, so I'm in the
Oh, okay.
process of being certified.
Okay.
However, I have been doing it informally for quite some time, and I
Hey,
have.
that to me, that if you have the experience, tell us to me you're certified. Just because a piece of just because a paper says that you're certified, no. If you have the experience, you're certified for
And
real.
so, I have been doing it informally for a few years.
Absolutely.
And while I was sitting down and doing some evaluation, I realized that, hey, I like this. I'm very passionate about this. Now, all of my other businesses have been opportunities that I just saw that I could basically, tap into. But this is a passion project for me. It's something that I am definitely passionate about. And especially when it comes to women, because
Mm,
women, we still struggle when it comes to managing our successes, when it comes to having that confidence to really go out there into the world of work, because the environment is seen as a man's domain. So we still have those struggles. So in the past, well, up to date, I've helped over 60 plus businesses in terms of opening their doors or actually keeping their doors open. So they've already been in operation, but we just needed to figure out a way so that they can continue to keep their business going. And all of them have been women led enterprises. So
okay.
that is something that, I'm definitely passionate about, I'm excited about. So while I have not officially launched my business, I do have clients. So I did a summit and a few persons heard me speaking and they were like, okay, I definitely love what you're saying. How can I work with you? And so
Wow.
that's a continuation, or that's how my business was able to continue on with international clients.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome to know. So what advice can you give our audience today as far as like and not just for the young entrepreneur, because I know people say young and think that's an age. It's not just the young, it's the person that has that mindset that keeps it fresh and constantly thinking of new ideas. What advice you could give to maybe someone that's listening now that can relate to what you're doing and says, you know what, I have one business, I may be hesitant to do another one, but they have the potential to do it. What advice you could give them?
I would definitely say invest in yourself. If there is anything that I can go back and do differently, I would say I would have invested in myself from an earlier time,
Mm,
because I have realized that your mindset plays a huge, or your mindset is a huge determinant factor in your success,
that's right.
because the mind is such an amazing, I don't
Oracle.
even something that I, your mind is just so amazing and so powerful that you don't even realize how powerful it is. And so you training your mind, building up your mind, impacts you as an individual. And so definitely invest in yourself. Spend time getting to know yourself. Go on that journey.
Yeah.
Understand what are your strengths. What are some of the things that you are not great at? Work on it. Work on yourself. Work on your mind. Read books. Read books,
Yes. Read books.
audios, listen to audios
Hmm.
if you're not big on reading.
Yeah.
But there's just so much information out there. Even if it is that you are at a stage right now where you can't pay for a mentor or a coach or somebody to help you to pivot or to help you develop yourself, there are so many resources online. And while I
Yes.
know it's scary because you can Google mindset or you can Google development and you can get maybe like 40, 50 pages on Google, but
Hmm.
at least start there or start with something. And then when you get to
Something.
this stage that you can, or you're in a better financial position that you can invest in getting someone to assist you, then
Exactly.
definitely go for that. But listen to me, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance can cost you very,
Yeah.
very much so. So you have to know and you have to have that mindset to really help you pivot. And also
Absolutely.
too as well, we are speaking about goals. So I would say what I have learned that while I had businesses in the past, I'm being transparent, while I had businesses in the past, I really didn't have goals per se. So I would just say, oh, okay, I would just be operating and then whatever happens, happens. And then I realized that, okay, let me try sitting down and establishing goals because, I would complain about so many things. Life, oh, I'm not making enough money for me to have goals. I'm not, oh, I don't have the correct team members for me to have goals in my business. I would just
Yeah.
go day to day aimlessly. But what I have realized is that you need goals. You need to work towards something. You cannot be getting up every day aimlessly. Your life is going to have no meaning. Like, yes, you're
That's right.
making money, but what are you working towards? And so, you have to develop goals. And when you are developing goals, you have to ensure that your goals are specific. So let's
Mm.
say you want to open up your business. Maybe you are in corporate right now and your goal is to open up your business. Be specific what type of business. When do you want to open up this business? Um, what steps do you have to take to open up this business? So be very specific. Envision
Yeah.
yourself in that goal so that you can then understand what exactly that goal entails. Also, too, as
Yes.
well, how do you attain it? So you would like to open up your business. How are you going to get to that goal? So, okay, you need $5,000 in order to be able to open up your business. Now, you knowing how to attain it comes from you being specific because when you're specific, you then break down all of the elements. So, how are you going to attain your goal? So, it means, okay, I need $5,000. I need to $5,000 is what I need to open up my business. So you now know, okay, or maybe there's also a skill too as well that you need to open up your
Hmm.
business. How are you going to get that skill? Is it that you have to go to a school? Can the school be online? How much time is it going to take from your current schedule? What is the times? When is the next course? So you have to understand how you are going to attain that goal. Also too as well in terms of how relevant is it. So you can't say to yourself, my goal is to, like, for instance, I wanted to be a chef, but
Yeah.
I I was just afraid of frying stuff. I didn't want to get burned in terms of the
Hmm.
scars. I didn't like standing up on my feet. So I thinking back on it, it just really was not a, a
To your
goal that
cup of
was
tea.
possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
how relevant is your goal? Is it in alignment with what you want for your life? Right? So you have to
Awesome.
sit down and you have to think about that too as well, right? So
Yes.
now that you have your goals in place, or now that you've given your goals some thought, what I always say is that everyone is different. What works for me may not work for you. But
Right.
what I have realized is that you don't just go through your goal in your head. You get a piece of paper, you write your goals down. Because
Yes.
writing your goals down means that one, you acknowledge them. You know that they are there. You're saying that, okay, this is what I want. This is the passion that is burning deep down inside of me. So you acknowledge it and then you embrace it and then you are
Hmm.
able to then work towards it. So just writing it down, you understand, okay, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want from my life. Now, what I realized in the past for me was that I was writing it down, yes, and then I would quickly close that journal. So at the beginning of the year, I would be all pumped, a new year, new me. So I go all to the bookstore. I
Yeah.
go to the bookstore, I would get a new, brand new journal, open up that journal, get a nice, fancy pen, write down my goals, and then by mid-January, I would close the book and put it on a bookshelf, and it just dies, right? But what I
Yeah.
have noticed now is that I'm like, okay, no, how can I, ensure that that goal is in front of me? So, I have a system where I put little sticky pads all over my house. I have a
Hmm.
system where I recite my goals on the morning. So, this
Oh
is what
wow.
I want. This is what I'm working towards. So it's not just about having goals and then saying, oh, well, my goal is to become healthier, but yet
Right.
still, you're still eating the greasy stuff. You're
Just
still,
food,
yeah,
not exercising. Yeah.
correct.
Yep.
So it doesn't make sense in terms of just saying that, okay, this is my goal. You have to have action to back it
Exactly.
up. Like you
Exactly.
must have the action. So the goal and goal setting is just one part of the plan. But
Mm.
without action, how are you going to attain those goals? And so, that's where you having that mindset that we spoke about earlier comes into play. Because trust me, leaving a comfort zone is a challenge. It
Yeah.
is a challenge because you
It
have
is.
found
Yeah.
safety in, that's why it's called a comfort zone, because you have
Mhm.
basically found safety in that area, in that place.
Yep.
And so you think to yourself, it's not really worth it. Why even bother? But you have to have that mindset that, look, listen, this is what I
Yes.
want, this is what I'm going to go
That's it.
after. And so, having that mindset, you also motivate yourself
Hmm.
towards attaining those goals. When it is that you are trying to accomplish those goals as well, you reevaluate. You reevaluate on a weekly basis, you reevaluate on a daily basis, however, whenever you need to reevaluate. Because you might think to yourself, well, okay, or maybe something has happened. Maybe you found a piece of information. um, that's another point too as well. Research. So in terms of research, so that you understand your goals,
Research.
right?
Yes.
Now,
Hmm.
you might, like we said, you probably want to open up your business, but it entails getting a specific skill set. Maybe you found some piece of information or something dropped into your lap where you realize that, okay, this university or this program is free. So, or maybe it's a little cheaper, but it's quicker in terms of getting me towards my goal. So, you reevaluate your goals as often as
Okay.
possible as you need to. And now you have to have a strategy. What are the steps that you are going to take to get you towards that goal? Now, many times we think to ourselves that in order to accomplish major goals, we just have to say, for me, I would say, I'm speaking for me, what I have learned is
Mhm.
that major goals would scare me. But I'm like, okay, how do I overcome this? And so I started to break those major goals down into minor goals. So
Yeah,
let's, for instance, you want to open up your own business. So you've already done the work, the research. You know, in order to open up your own business, probably you want to become a lash tech. So you know, to become a lash tech, you need to be certified. You need to write an exam. You need to practice. You need to have the money in order to go to school. So you
very
have
true.
to have a strategy step. So okay, what are your strategy? I break mine down small. So let's say, for instance, the first step would be finding a course. So you say, okay, I'm going to dedicate 1 hour each day or 2 hours each day towards looking at different programs that are offered and understanding what is the best option for me. So that's step one. Once you've accomplished that, that is another thing too as well. You track your wins and you celebrate your wins, right? So
Hmm.
once you have accomplished
I
that,
like that.
then say, wow, step one is finished. You are one step closer than you were in the past towards attaining that goal. So that's why it's important to break it down into smaller goals, and also to as well track your wins. So I
Yeah,
like to give myself rewards. Rewards don't have to be
of
big.
course,
So for
of
me,
course.
I might probably, let's say you did the research, you found out what are the universities or schools or programs that you can do. You give yourself a little reward, whether it's okay, I can give myself an ice cream cone for doing that, right? It can be small. It doesn't have to be a major
Nothing big. Yeah, I
reward,
agree.
something small, right?
I agree.
Your next step would then be, I now understand what program I want to go in. This is the time that the program is starting. This is how much funds I now require. So then you start to save up towards that program. So you might say, okay, I can probably save $500 every week if I probably don't eat out, or if I, so you readjust. So
Yeah,
you're still strategizing.
priorities.
Correct.
Hmm.
So you're still strategizing. You
Yeah,
are taking those small steps and you are taking note of your wins and you're evaluating. Maybe after your first month of doing it, you then realize, well, hey, okay, this is easier than I thought. Instead of the 500, I can now save 1,000. Let me cut this and that out of my budget and I can then work on that. So there it is now. You have accomplished step two, bringing
hmm.
you closer towards that major goal of being
That's
a
right.
lash tech, right?
That's
And
awesome.
then after you're finished with step two, you move on to step three, and so you take note or you take stock of your wins and you reward yourself along the way.
Mm.
You, like I said, in terms of writing it down. So your goal is to become a lash tech. You have those little bullet points at the bottom, and when you cross things out, it motivates you to go on, to move on,
Absolutely.
to
Wow.
definitely be better, right? And
Yeah.
your mindset, because now your mindset, you've also worked on your mindset, you've worked on you. So now you're like, yes, you have that
That's
confidence, you
right.
can do this. So
That's right. I
it's
love it.
it's a process. It's a process, and it's one that you have
It
to find
is.
what works for you. So, like for instance,
Hmm.
major goals were scaring me. I broke it down into smaller goals, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yes,
And
now
be
I'm
patient.
doing
Be
it.
patient, people. Be patient and take it one day at a time. That's most important there.
Yes,
And don't
that
be
is
don't
very,
be
very,
afraid of failure, because failure is gonna happen. You're always gonna fail. Something's gonna happen. Just get back up.
that is very, very true. And when it is that you do feel, that's where your mindset also comes into as well,
Yes.
because you
Yes.
have to look at it as not, oh my gosh, I failed, my will is coming crashing down, but more of, I tried, I failed, let me dust myself off and try again
And try
and to
again.
continue
That's it.
along that journey. But
Wow.
mindset has to, mindset plays a lot.
Everything.
It's
Yes.
very, very
Exactly.
important in terms of getting you to pivot and getting you from point
That's
A to
right.
point B.
Wow, Anastasia. Anna, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have dropped So much information here. Time has flown by already, and I want to thank you for your time. I know you're super busy, so I'm going to go ahead and have your links and your information down below. People can find you on Facebook as well. I follow you on Facebook. I have your Facebook account, so I'm going to invite people to follow you on Facebook because you have some great content, great motivation. And anyone who wants to follow you, I'm going to have the links below. But thank you, Anna, for your time. I appreciate you. Much blessings to you, your family, and everything that you do uh, towards the end of this year, next year, and beyond, and all your businesses. Okay. Thank you for your
And
time.
Angel, thank you so much for having me on the Young Entrepreneur Mindset podcast. It was an absolute pleasure. And you
Yeah.
are also such an inspiration to me too as well. I follow your content and I just
Thank you.
love how you just keep moving and pushing forward. It's definitely an inspiration. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for your time and for being here and adding so much value to our audience. God bless you. Thank you.
You as well.
Thank you. All right, folks. So there you have it, man. Great, great stuff. Great content, man. Listen, I invite you to re-listen over and over to this because the last, especially in the last part, she dropped so much information. She gave you step one, step two, and step three. So listen, time is valuable. So take your time, listen to this content over. I know you're going to enjoy it as usual because Anna has brought so much important content that you need to listen to this over and over again. Okay, guys. So listen, follow me on Twitter under Angel Santos 75 and also under Instagram under Angel Santos Podcast. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, give us a like, leave your comment, and follow Anastasia on Facebook and on her website. I'm going to have all the links below so you'll be able to follow her and follow her on her social media platforms. All right, guys. So before I leave, as usual, I like to leave you with guys with a positive word, a scripture, and it says in Proverbs 16:3, as you see here on the screen, or if you're listening to audio, Proverbs 16:3, and it says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." Okay, you got to put God first. Put Him first, and He's going to establish those plans. All right. So we already talked about how to plan, execute, and accomplish your goals. Not only for this year, but the next year in 2023 is going to be a big year for you guys. So stay positive, keep that mindset always fresh, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Young Entrepreneur Mindset Podcast. God bless you. I'll see you soon. Take care.